Hello, and welcome to 5 Minute Math. Today, for our number talk, we are multiplying the fraction 3/4 and the whole number 200. It's really this word of that kind of gives us that clue that we're multiplying. That's what we typically use when we want to signal that we're going to multiply a fraction and a whole number, that word of. One way to think about this is let's break down our 3/4 into some unit fractions. Right, so 3/4 is really just the sum of 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. So if I can figure out what 1/4 of 200 is, I can triple that. So 1/4 of 200. So of, remember, means multiply. Now, if it's going to be multiplied by fractions, I want them both to be a fraction. So how do you turn a whole number into a fraction? Well, you just make it 200 over 1. Any whole number can be turned into a fraction if you make it over 1, because that just means 200 ones, which is one way to think of the number 200. Then you just multiply straight across. 1 times 200 is 200. 4 times 1 is 4. So you're looking at 200 over 4, which means you need to divide. Some of you might have been thinking, okay, well, if I multiply by a fraction, that's the same thing as dividing by its reciprocal. And that is actually true. So I know that 4 is the reciprocal of 1/4 because the reciprocal is any number that you multiply by another number, typically a fraction, to get it back to 1. So you notice what I did to the 1/4, I just flipped it upside down, and that got me back to 1. So if I want to flip the number upside down to get the reciprocal, and I invert the operation, I went from multiply to divide, that's the same thing. So that's just, instead of 1/4 of 200, I could just say, well, that's just 200 divided by 4. Either way, you're going to divide 204. It's going to get you 50. Now, 50 is not my answer. That's just 1/4 or 1/4 of my 200. So I've got 50, 50, 50. That looks like 150. Is there an easier way to do this? Well, some of you might have just gone straight to this. 3/4 of 200. You'd be correct. Let's make that 200 over 1. Now, we need to multiply that. That gets kind of large. 600 over 4. So now we've got to divide, right, that 6 by 4. That's going to be 1, right? That's going to leave us 2, so that's going to be 20. So 4 goes into 20, that 5, and then there's that extra 0. Either way, your answer is going to be 150.